Welcome to the How to Quit Working show. This is the only show that brings you awesome people just like you who got sick and tired of doing something they don't like and don't care about and have created an amazing life of freedom using what they know instead of just getting paid for what they do. And now, here's your host, the Quit Working guy, Jeff Steinman.
Hey everybody, welcome to the podcast. Today we are talking to Travis Sherry. Now Travis is just a regular guy who liked to travel. Okay, and he wanted to figure out a way that he could live the life that he wanted, traveling and doing all the things that he enjoys on his own terms, so he created a lifestyle business around it. Travis, thanks for joining us. How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for allowing me to join you and your listeners, Jeff. And I look forward to telling them my story and hopefully helping some other people do what I do and get out and travel.
That's what we all want to do. And, you know, we were talking before the interview, Travis, one of the reasons that I was so interested in interviewing you is every time I work with a client, the first thing that we do is we talk about, you know, what do you want out of life? 100% of the time, travel comes up. And usually it's I want to travel, and occasionally it's I don't want to ever have to travel. But it's usually people want to travel, so people love to travel. We all know that. So you've taken something that everybody loves to do, and you've made a business out of it. Tell us a little bit about how that works.
Yeah, sure. What I realized early on, after I graduated university, and I was actually a high school social studies teacher, and I just started thinking, you know, I took a few vacations and I thought, this is awesome. I can learn a lot about the world. And it kind of snowballed from there. When I was younger, I didn't travel too much. But once I started traveling in my mid-20s, like I said, it took off and I just wanted to see everywhere. So I started thinking about what I could do in order to make that dream a reality. And I started thinking, how can I travel in a way that was affordable for me, because I wasn't making a ton of money and I couldn't go jet setting all over the place.
Sure.
And how could I do it? So I started learning about frequent flyer miles and different travel hacking tips and stuff like that. And the more I learned, and you know, I'd go on trips and people would say, how can you do this? I started telling people how I could do it. And like most businesses, it became, okay, well, now I know a lot about this. You know, originally I didn't think I knew that much, but people started saying, hey, you know everything about this, right? And I started thinking, how can I make this into a business? And that's when I decided to start my website and really go after it full time.
Okay. That is cool. So tell me a little bit about your life. I mean, you obviously love to travel. That was your motivation. So tell me, what is your life like? How does your life work?
Well, like I said, I was a high school social studies teacher for a few years after I graduated, and that's what I went to school for, and I liked it. But it was fairly constricting. You know, I had the summers off and all, but it was constricting that I couldn't go wherever I wanted to go, whenever I wanted to go.
Yeah. So you're really kind of a lifestyle snob because three months off a year wasn't enough for you.
Yeah, I guess so. I never thought about it like that. But yes,
and I would high five you if I could.
Right. I guess I am a lifestyle snob. I mean, 3 months was great, or 2.5 months, whatever it was. But I wanted. You know, I was still being held back. I was still working for someone else. I was still had to follow certain rules, whatever. And so I said, how could I travel? The first step was then I went and started teaching in Japan, because then I was traveling, still having a stable income, still having a job per se.
Yeah.
But I was somewhere new. So that was for 2 years. And while I was in Japan, that's when I really kicked it into high gear and said, okay, this is cool that I'm here teaching. But again, I'm here and I can't go where I want, when I want. How can I really do what I want? And I said, I'm going to start my website, and hopefully that takes off. And now I can work from anywhere I please because it's all on the internet. So my normal life, now I'm actually back home where I grew up in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I just returned from Spain a couple weeks ago. Cool. Before that, I was in San Francisco for a while. But I guess normal is hard to kind of classify at this point, since I really can work wherever I want to.
There is no normal. That's awesome.
Not really.
Yeah. What's your next destination that you have planned?
Well, there's a few things. I'm actually going to probably be staying in the States for a little while. Okay. There's a lot of conferences I want to attend that I couldn't attend when I was living in Japan and all. So I'll be going to Portland in June, going out to Colorado in April to attend a conference and stuff like that. And then probably sometime in July or August, I might be heading back to Spain. My sister lives there right now.
Cool.
So seeing her and stuff is pretty fluid, though. I have a few things pinned down, but I kind of take it as it comes. And when I do have some time that I don't really want to hit a project really hard and say, okay, I can get away and do some actually traveling, that's when I usually pick up and go somewhere.
Okay. Now, you said that you want to attend some conferences. What kind of conferences do you attend?
Yeah, so for me, I guess the realm that I fit in is kind of a travel blogger, and my niche then is frequent flyer miles. So in April, I'll be going to a conference that is just for frequent flyer mile bloggers. So there's actually more out there.
Are you kidding me? There is a conference just for frequent flyer mile bloggers.
There is actually, I'm going to say off the top of my head, 4 or 5 a year.
Wow.
Yes, it's. What I've learned through all this is like every little niche has more people than you can imagine who do it and are into it and know about it and want to learn more about it.
Yeah.
So April, I'll be doing that. In July, when I'm going out to Portland. I said June, but it's actually the very beginning of July. I'm going to a conference that is all about online entrepreneurship. It's called the World Domination Summit. I don't know if any of your listeners know about it, but it's hosted by a guy named Chris Gelbo, and I'll be going out to that and meeting with a lot of people who I work with and have spoken with in the past, but haven't met in person.
Okay.
And then there's other big travel blogging expos and conferences out there that I'll be hitting up throughout the year.
Okay, so where I was curious about is it sounds like it's a mix of going to conferences in your niche with travel. You probably do networking there and you make relationships, as well as conferences like the World Domination Summit where you're kind of learning about how to build your business.
Right, exactly. Some of it is me being the expert and maybe speaking about stuff, and then some of it is me going as an attendee and learning about it.
Sure.
I've realized that the more you can expand your net and take in advice from all different other niches and stuff like that, the more you learn. So
that's awesome. That is awesome stuff. So, tell me, can you just? I'm losing focus because I'm losing focus because I'm so curious about something that I just want to go ahead and ask it. Is it so? Sure. So I do travel a lot for my business, and I set up a Southwest frequent flyer or whatever they call their program, and I fly exclusively Southwest just to get the miles. And I don't really do anything special or anything fancy. Like what is there like one nugget of information that you could give people about frequent flyer miles?
Yes. There's a ton of nuggets, but I'll give you one good one. The best way to earn frequent flyer miles is not actually through flying, although you could easily do that.
Okay.
But the biggest, fastest, most effective, most lucrative way is through credit card signups. And you've probably seen it. You see it on commercials all the time. Earn 40,000 miles opening this card. So there's a lot of what my site focuses on is how to earn big chunks of frequent flyer miles quickly so that you can take basically any trip that you want. And signing up, if you're a U.S. listener, signing up for credit cards is far and away the quickest way to earn big chunks of miles. And there's other things you can do to obviously continuously earn it, but that is the number one way to do it. And the kind of the thing that most people don't realize, like, how do you have 1 million frequent flyer miles in a year, Travis? Like, you obviously don't fly that much. And 90% of my miles I earn not from flying, but from other things like credit card signups, spending on my credit card, stuff like that.
Okay, well, that's awesome because I had no idea. I just thought I just had to keep flying, and that's
right.
Really that's not getting me a ton of miles.
Right. It'll get you something, but it's good to earn it when you're flying, but that's kind of like a small supplemental thing to do, on top of the other things.
Gotcha. Okay, so now I want to before we talked, there's this misconception out there that I think you can help us address. And that misconception is that if you want to get known for your knowledge, you have to have like 10 or 15 or 20 years of experience and an education and letters behind your name. And do you have any of that?
I mean, I have a bachelor's and a master's degree. Neither of it is in anything related to travel. My bachelor's is in education. My master's is in sports management. So as far as my expertise in having those letters after my name, not at all.
Excellent. And you didn't own a travel agency for 20 years.
No, I didn't start it when I was 10. Nope.
Excellent. So you don't mind sharing with our users that you're 30. You're only 30.
Right. I just turned 30. Yes.
Excellent. So I just really want to drive home the fact that, like, you don't have to be a 50-year-old accomplished expert consultant with tons of experience to do this. And Travis, what is the point? Is there a point at which your mentality shifted and you said, wait a minute, I'm not just a guy that likes to travel and is really good at it. I'm an expert on traveling and traveling inexpensively.
Yeah. Jeff, I think the point you made is dead on. I think the exact same way that you do. At first, when I was starting my blog and my website, it was, the term expert kind of freaked me out, I guess. Like, well, I'm not an expert. Like, if I'm an expert, I have to have X, Y, and Z. But I can't really tell you the exact breaking point. But, as more and more people started coming to the site and they started saying, like, wow, you know how to do this, you know how to do this.
Yeah.
You're an expert. You're an expert. I started thinking, well, okay, what makes an expert? All right, do I know more than 95% of the world about this subject matter?
Yep.
Yes. Can I help people? Can I explain it to them? Yes. Do I have something to back up what I do? Yes, I have a website. I have a ebook now. I have an audio book. So this idea of being an expert is so funny, I guess, in our culture, because people think I have to do it for these many years. I have to have this degree and all. But really, being an expert just means you know what you're talking about in a certain subject. And in my mind, I guess, on top of that, also being able to explain it and help people out. Because you can be an expert, but if I couldn't explain to you how to travel around the world, it wouldn't really be applicable to you.
Sure. Absolutely. So what made you decide to start your website? And it's called Extra Pack of Peanuts.
Yes. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, the story behind the name of it is when I was a kid, I actually hated flying. I threw up basically every time I got on a plane. And the only thing that would ever placate me was when they bring around an extra pack of peanuts. And I thought, man, I'm getting a steal here. Like, all these other suckers have one pack of peanut. They paid the same amount as me. I'm getting two. So that was kind of the idea behind the site name.
And it's less about the peanuts than it is about the deal, right?
Right. It is. Yes. The peanuts now, before signified a deal in my 8-year-old mind.
Yeah.
Now it's about, okay, now I'm traveling to Singapore, Indonesia, India, all for $50. Now that's the deal that I want. As far as starting the site, when I was living in Japan, I had moved there because I wanted to travel more and I wanted to experience a new culture. And like I said, I wasn't making a ton of money, just a regular teacher's salary. I started thinking, well, I want to go all these places in Asia. I'm going to be here 2 years. How can I go home to America? How can I go all these places if I don't have a lot of money? And I just started researching frequent flyer miles, and I dove into it. I've always loved deals, like I said. And I just learned as much as I could from other blogs, from forums. And it took a while. I spent a good 6-7 months learning on my own and kind of just telling my parents and friends and a few other people. And once they started telling other people about me, and I kept getting all these emails, Travis, can you help me with this? I thought, okay, well, I'm writing the same email over and over and over again. Why don't I start a site about it? And I put all the information I had on my site, and little by little it grew. And then, of course, as most of you know who are on online businesses or sites, it then grew quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker. And at the point that I was getting ready to leave Japan, I thought, well, now's a good breaking point. Let's try to do it full time. I had planned to build it up to do it full time when I left Japan in August, and luckily it had gotten to that point that I could. So when I came home from Japan in August, I then worked on a product that I just put out in December. So that was kind of the timeline of how it went from being just my knowledge to then a website to, okay, now I'm going to do it as a business. And how can I then make money from it?
Gotcha. So what's the product that you created?
So the product I created is called The Ultimate Guide to Frequent Flyer Miles. And it's actually an interactive ebook. So you get the ebook and it has videos embedded in it. So a lot of the stuff I explain might be hard to explain through words, but I'll put a YouTube tutorial on. Here's how you get to the site. Here's how you do it. And it's about 70 pages of basically everything from, I know nothing about frequent flyer miles. So when you hit page 70, you'll be an expert, and it comes with an audiobook and stuff like that. So a how to use frequent flyer miles for dummies, all that kind of wrapped up into one package.
Excellent. So here's the thing that I think is interesting. A lot of people will tell you, and people probably told you this, that all you got to do is put a website up and people will just come rushing to it. And that's exactly how it works, right?
I wish. If those people know how to do that, I'd love to talk to them.
So tell me about, what did you do to get people to go to your website?
Well, that is, I think, for most people who want to start a website, probably the biggest challenge, because usually when you want to start a website, you have a passion for something that is outside of SEO or web building, or, my passion was traveling, and how can I help people traveling? I know nothing about SEO. So I started it in January of last year, so January 2012, and I didn't know what I was doing at all. I just put the information up there. I told friends and family, I'd get 60 visits a day, maybe, if my mom was really into what I wrote that day, and told 2 people. And I just started learning. I then thought, okay, my stuff is pretty good. I know what I'm talking about. I am an expert at frequent flyer miles. I want other people to know this. Like, I really took pride in what I did, and I thought it's stupid if only 60 people see this or 50 people see this. So I started looking into how do other websites that I read do it. And, they talk about guest posting and writing on other blogs, and I started reaching out to other blogs, travel blogs, lifestyle design blogs, passive income blogs or financial blogs, did some guest posting. I made sure that my content really was quality, which is key, because people are going to tell right away if it's not good.
Yeah.
And, I started learning some tricks from friends who were more into it. So what I tried to do was look at the people around me who knew a lot more than I did about SEO and building a website and getting traffic, and I just would ask them for any help. What tips can you give me? What can you tell me? And they'd say, make sure you do this, make sure you do that. Guest posting is huge. Comment on other blogs, make yourself known, and overall keep the content good and help as many people as you can, because word of mouth really, to this day, for me, is the best way to attract visitors, because if someone likes what you do and they're willing to tell other people about it, those other people are going to come to your site and already know that you do a good job. You don't really have to push it onto them.
Okay. That's cool. So it sounds like the guest blogging was kind of a big thing for you, right?
Yeah, for my website, because it is focused on, I'm focused on putting out content, and it is a blog more or less where I post twice a week. A lot of other websites might not be exactly like that. For me, I found blogs that I really liked that were bigger than mine, or some that were the same size and growing. I just said, hey, I'm really good at frequent flyer miles. A lot of the blogs that I read have to do with people who like to travel anyway, even though traveling isn't their niche. I said, I'll help you with frequent flyer miles. I'd also love to guest post if what I help you do resonates with you. And, I've helped pretty big-time bloggers get free flights around the world. And, of course, that speaks for himself.
Yeah.
Then they can say, hey, this guy helped me go to Thailand for $200.
Wow, now that's
I recommend
awesome.
it, So that, to me, building those relationships is key. And it, like everything, though, it takes time. You're not going to just go to a blogger and say, hey, can I put a post on your thing? Without offering them something of value, especially big blogs, because they have people knocking down their door every day about guest posting. So you really want to create something that gives them value, and then they're obviously willing to help you out because they know you do a good job.
Yeah, and you totally went exactly where I was hoping you'd go with that, because the what I wanted to understand is, like, in order for that to work, you got to get in front of blogs that are bigger than you. And it sounds like what you did was you offered them something that was of direct benefit to them and actually also sort of related to what you wanted to guest blog about.
Exactly. I mean, like I said, some of the blogs don't have to do necessarily with traveling, and that's kind of almost better in a way because, I will go to a personal finance blog and say, hey, a lot of your readers want to save money or how can they make money and save money and this and that. Well, travel is a big expense for most people if you don't understand how to do it cheap. Any vacation you take is going to cost you thousands of dollars, especially getting plane tickets. So I would say to them, here's what I can do for you. Here's what I can offer your community. If you think that they will like it, let me know. And usually if you target the right blogs, something like that, hey, saving money when traveling, yeah, that fits with a personal finance blog. If you target the right blogs and you just don't shoot off stuff to things that have no interest in what you do, then it usually works. And like I said, yeah, creating value and kind of thinking outside of your niche a little bit. What are other areas that kind of intersect with your niche but aren't exactly the same thing? Like I wouldn't post on just frequent flyer blogs because those guys are doing the same thing that I'm doing.
Sure.
I want to get the people who haven't heard about it yet.
Yeah. Well, and that's the beauty of the way you've carved out your niche, because I doubt you could have had that success approaching those bloggers saying, I'm just, I'm a travel guy, right? Or I'm a travel on the cheap guy.
I completely agree. I think it's being more specific is better.
Yeah.
Especially in the beginning. Now I do some other travel stuff. I've started to expand my horizon. Like, yes, frequent flyer miles is my thing, but I'll tell you how to get cheap hotel rooms or what you should eat in Cambodia because I've done that. So I'm going to obviously tell you different things.
Yeah.
But I didn't approach it from the beginning saying, hey, I just like to travel and here's my tips for traveling. That might work for some travel or for some blogs. But there's a lot of stuff out there already. So what I position myself in as, like, okay, now I'm a travel blogger, yes, but if the 100 other travel bloggers out there, if one of their readers comes to them and say, I want to be able to fly for cheap, like how can you get cheap plane tickets? They know, okay, Travis is the guy to go to for that because that's his specialty.
Yeah.
So starting as specific as you can is, in my mind, probably the best thing you can do. And then, expanding your reach as you get bigger and as you have more stuff to say.
Exactly. And one of the things I always tell clients is you've got to establish that niche, and I call it like a foothold. And then people are afraid that they're limiting themselves by niching, right? And what I tell them is establish that foothold in that very specific small niche, and then use that foothold to leverage it and get bigger. If I had a crystal ball, Travis, I'd say, in a couple of years you're going to be like on CNN and talking about all kinds of things related to travel, because it seems like I think you're on that path. But the frequent flyer miles are the thing that you're using to get that foothold. You've got that foothold, and now you're reaching up for that next level, which I think is awesome.
Right. I could not agree more. Establish a foothold. If I would have started as just a travel blogger, I might have had more readers right off the bat, maybe.
Yeah.
Because it's a wider scope. But, would it be able to grow as much as it could? And is it as scalable then to like really getting a foothold in the travel blog is a lot harder than getting a foothold in something smaller. So once you get the foothold, expand out. And if you're good at what you do and you like what you do and you really offer value to people, you can go as far as you want to go.
Definitely. So what are some other things that you did to drive traffic to your website and to kind of promote your business?
One of the things I did was I looked at different forums. Like I said, guest posting is important, and that's good because you have an audience of someone that already trusts you because they're allowing you to guest post.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of forums out there, and like I said, I did not know the frequent flyer niche even existed before I got into it.
Sure.
But there's two main forums, and people, who even know more than me, like heaven forbid, I'm an expert. People know more than me.
Yeah.
But these people have been doing it forever, right?
Yeah.
And they're the 5% or 1% of the world that actually know as much or more than I do.
Sure.
But I got on forums, and there was always new people coming in asking, can you help with this? And it was like a basic question, something I would have asked when I started. And in fact, I did ask when I started. And I would, I'd make really good answers to them. A lot of people would come on the forums and if you've been in forums before, people can get snarky and rude and mean pretty quickly.
Yep.
And
I've been on the receiving end of that.
Yeah, I just went in and I said, hey, here's what I did. I've been in that situation 5 months ago, 8 months ago, whatever. Here's exactly what I did. And I kind of established a name for myself as being someone who was helpful, even to people who were asking the most basic questions. And that really, you could put a little signature at the bottom in a forum, and it links back to my blog. And, if you get on, forums that are big enough, you start to see a lot of traffic from that. And that was one thing I did. I was in frequent flyer forums. Then I kind of went to bigger deals or top deals forums like Slick Deals and stuff like that. And that has continued to drive traffic to my blog, even though I've kind of pulled away from that now. People still see the stuff I posted to this day. So that was a big thing to drive traffic. And the other thing that I did that I really saw readership jump was, it wasn't a guest post on another blog, but it was actually a post I did on my blog. And what I did was I asked 71 travel experts one question, and I basically went to anyone I could think of who was an expert in travel, like Rick Steves, who writes the guidebooks, some of the biggest travel bloggers out there who have books on the subjects, and Chris Gelbo, who's running the World Domination Summit. He's a travel expert. He's been to every country but one in the world. So I went to these guys and I said, I have one question for you, and if you could answer it, that'd be great. And I'm going to feature it on my blog, on my website. And I asked them the one question, which was, what's the number one excuse you hear for why people can't travel, and why is that basically BS? Why? And I made it provocative on purpose so that they'd want to answer it. And I'd say I emailed 100 people roughly, and I got 71 people to respond, which is exceeded my expectations.
Now let me ask
big time.
Let me ask you this: was that one pre-formatted email that you blasted out to 100 people?
No, that's a great question. I spent the time. I thought, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it right. I spent the time to write an email to every single person. It wasn't CCing anyone or anything like that. And I took each person that I was writing to, and if I had contact with them before, I would mention that. We talked about this previously, but I made the first sentence something specific to them. I've been following your blog for 5 years, and I loved your post on da-da-da-da-da.
Okay.
I own your book on this. Whatever it is, something very specific, so they knew I was writing to them. Yeah. And I got great advice from someone else, a mentor of mine who had done this exact same thing. He said, keep it short. That was perfect. He said 5 sentences at the most. And that was sentence number 1. Tell them how you know them or why you're writing to them, something very specific. And here's the question. I really appreciate if you could answer it. And I thought, I want to say this, I want to say that. And I didn't. I made sure I didn't, because the guy who mentors me was like, don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that at all. And I got tons of answers back. And then, of course, I spent that post to this day, was the one I spent the most time on, and I made sure their picture was there, and I linked back to their blog, their Twitter handle. I made it sure it was formatted to look really, really nice. And when I put that out, I just sent them a follow-up email. Hey, this is out. I gave them a free copy of the product that I had made, and I also said, if you wouldn't mind tweeting this or blasting out to your Facebook list or anything like that, I'd really appreciate it. Thanks for your help. And, that post, it didn't go viral, huge, but semi-viral. And I got people with blogs that are 10, 20, 30, 100 times bigger than mine talking about it. And that brought a lot of people to the site. And, the people who were interested in what I did stayed. And now I've achieved a level that is a lot higher than what it was prior to that. So it's kind of like a reverse guest blogging, I guess.
Okay. That's a really cool technique, and I've heard of that being used to create products or ebooks, but never for a blog post before. I think that's brilliant. I think that's awesome.
It worked very well, and a secondary perk of that now is I not only have that post, but now I have a contact with people. Let's say I had contact with 20 of those people out of 70 before. Now I have contact with 50 more people. I have their emails. I've talked to them before. I've given them my product. So I'd say about 10 or 15 of them right away came back to me and said, oh, this is great. Can you help me with frequent flyer miles? And then because of that, we spun off more guest posts. So it kind of it's just integrating yourself into a community and trying to build
Yeah.
relationships in whatever way you can and
Yeah.
getting creative with it.
Yeah, that is so cool. So and I love that you've had the perseverance to just stick with it and push forward and just do these things, which I suspect that for the most part they're fun, but they're not always, right? I mean, it's probably a grind. Sending those 100 emails, that wasn't fun the whole time, I'm sure.
It was not fun at all, especially going to every person's website and finding something I could personally relate to about. And that's the other big thing, I guess I would say, was how I grew my website. Like I said, I'm not an expert at SEO. I'm not an expert at growing websites. So for me, a lot of it has been organic, and just being consistent and doing it when you don't want to do it is the toughest part about it, because like I said, I put out posts every Tuesday and Thursday, and my readers know that now. And sure, I've missed some posts here and there, but every time I have missed posts or I have tried to change it up, I've noticed that readership has dipped, and my people coming to my site has dipped. And every time I've been consistent for months on end, it just is like a slow and steady increase. So being consistent and kind of living up to what you say, like I knew that I wouldn't be consistent unless I told my readers, you're going to get a post every Tuesday and Thursday.
Okay.
And they know that. And, will they call me out on it? Will I get 1,000 emails if I don't post? No, but it's the idea that they know it, they expect it.
Yeah.
And if I don't do it, I'm betraying their trust, or and they might not come back. So that's kept me kind of on the straight and narrow with being able to be consistent, is telling people exactly what you're going to do and then following through on it. Because it's a lot harder to back out of something if other people know you're going to do it.
Yeah. Do you write your blog posts ahead of time?
Sometimes. I try to, but like you said, there's days where it's Monday night and I'm sitting there grinding it out thinking I got this out. So I try to do it ahead of time, especially if I am going to travel. If I know that I'm going to Spain for 2 or 3 weeks, and I can still do work there, of course, but I want to try to have as much time to do fun stuff as possible.
Yeah.
I'll try to get scheduled 2 or 3 or 4 ahead of time. And what I've actually started to do now is I've had people ask me to guest post on my blog now that's gotten big enough. And I'll usually schedule those people for times I'll be traveling, because then it's a little more hands off.
Yeah.
It's still have to edit and talk to them, and sometimes it can actually be more of a hassle.
Yeah.
But it's a nice kind of break.
Yeah.
To do that.
Yeah, that's very cool. So Travis, you're married, right?
Yes, I'm married. Been married 2.5 years now.
Excellent, excellent. Well, so how does this lifestyle work with your relationship with your wife?
Yeah, that's a great question. When we got married right before we moved to Japan, which was, for some people, they said, this is crazy. Like, you're going to get married and then a month later move across the world. For us, it actually worked out really well, because a lot of the pressures we would have had at home were kind of alleviated because, we were together. So as far as this lifestyle, right now, after coming back from Japan, my wife does a lot of part-time work and stuff like that. So she's also able to make her own schedule. And she's actually, as she's seen success with my site and my blog, she's actually thought, I've kind of pushed her to the idea of like, you can do this too. Like she's really into fashion. So that would be kind of her niche.
Yeah.
And I've said, like, you've seen that I've done it, and I'm not superhuman. I don't really know what I'm doing half the time when it comes to building sites, and it's worked. So she's actually started to kind of go off on that thing too. And we're hoping that, if she could work anywhere and design her blog to be at the level that my blog is and my site is, then we could do anything we wanted whenever we wanted. So it really has helped. Like I said, we went to Spain for 2-3 weeks, and we have some stuff planned. So it has helped us tremendously to be able to just get up and go, because when you're traveling, even if you're fighting or something stinks, you're still traveling, and you're still walking outside of your hotel or hostel, wherever you are, and seeing something new. Yeah. So it's kind of a lot easier to put that stuff behind you when you're having these experiences. So for us, it has been a big blessing. And like I said, I've worked hard to get to where I am. She's working hard now to build her thing up. But in the end, I think it's going to infinitely, make our lives better. So it's worth it.
Yeah, that's so awesome. One of the things that I've been doing these interviews for a while now, and the thing that it kills me is like when I ask people what their favorite part of this business is, it's always something simple. Like a guy I talked to the other day just said, I just like to sit down with my wife and have a cup of tea first thing in the morning, right? And not have to worry. And another person I interviewed said her and her husband go for a walk every evening, and they do it when the sun sets because they want to walk around the sunset. I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah, you take it for granted.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even think about it kind of when you asked that question, but now I think of it like, yeah, we can wake up and have breakfast together, which most couples, if you're having breakfast together, you're waking up at 6 a.m. and you're eating cereal together.
Here's a bagel, quick. Honey. I got to go on.
Yeah. So wake up, we can have breakfast together.
Yeah.
If we want to go out somewhere in the middle of the day, we can do that. So having that flexibility is, like I said, I've taken it for granted now at this point, but thinking about not having it, I can't really fathom it, actually.
Yeah. No, I know. I don't know if you ever get this, but occasionally I wake up at night, just kind of like my mind shifts back to when I was in the corporate world and having to do that death march into the office every morning. And the only thing I had to look forward to was a cup of gourmet coffee because that was the only pleasurable part of my job.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Travis, what's the biggest mistake that you made in this business?
I guess the biggest mistake I made was not starting sooner in my mind. But I'm lucky enough to have started when I was 28, 29, and I think that's huge because I'm going to get to experience life in a whole different way from my friends and a lot of other people. But outside of that, I think the biggest mistake I made and still continue to make is, even though now I'm talking to you as an expert, I'm sometimes scared to do stuff, right? Like, I don't want to contact this guy. His blog is 10 times bigger than mine. Why will he listen to me? And it's funny because anytime I do something that I think I'm stepping outside my comfort zone, like, why am I doing this? I'm scared to do it. Anytime I do it, I can't think of a time that it didn't really work out, or at least if it didn't work out how I wanted it to, it taught me a lot and worked out in a totally different way.
Yeah.
So the biggest mistake I make is just really not going after it even more sometimes and thinking like I've wanted to start a podcast just like you're doing for 4 months now, and I keep playing around with it. I have to get the right microphone. What microphone should I use? What if no one listens? All these stupid fears in my head that who cares if no one listens, right? I mean, it's not costing me anything.
Right.
I put off some things, and that is the biggest thing that I struggle with, and the biggest mistake I make is just not actually starting even more projects.
Okay.
Because I know from my experience that they are successful, and talking to people like you and other people who have done it, most of the time when you stick your neck out or you go out on a ledge and you give it 100% effort, it's going to work in some way, shape, or form. So that's the biggest, I guess, mistake. Other than that, I haven't had anything that I've done. Like, I've tried to grow my business and do a lot on my own, so I haven't thrown thousands of dollars at stuff and been like, this didn't work. I've tried to do a lot on my own and a lot from friends and kind of exchanging my knowledge and my expertise for someone. Like with my web design, I said to a web design friend, I'll get you to Amsterdam for free if you help design my website. And that's how it worked out. Yeah. So I haven't thrown money at stuff where I regretted it yet, and I don't plan on doing it.
Well, my biggest piece of advice to you is don't be afraid to do it. That's going to be the next tipping point for you, right? When you get to that point where you're investing, that's going to just make a huge difference.
Yeah.
And you're gonna waste money. I one of these days when the wounds are a little bit more healed, I will talk publicly about the big waste of money that that happened to me last year. But anyway,
if you ever talk privately about it, let me know so I don't make the same mistake before you go public with it.
Definitely. Well, anyway, this has been a pleasure, and I gotta say I gotta run because we got a snowstorm coming, and actually what I really need for you to tell me is how do I get the hell out of St. Louis in the next 2 hours before we get the 6 or 8 inches of snow?
Yeah, well, I wish I could help you with that. I haven't figured figured out transportation machines yet, like, going somewhere quickly, but
yeah. But anyway, so where can folks go to get more information about you, Travis? I know everybody who's listening here is interested in lifestyle, and they would love to hear how to get cheaper travel.
Sure. Yeah. If you want to find out how to use frequent flyer miles or cheap travel in general or anything like that, you can find my website at extrapackofpeanuts.com. And you can always feel free to email me. That's one of my favorite things about this whole gig is getting reader emails and people saying, I don't know what to do. And then 5 months later, email me back like, here's a picture of us in Disney World for free. So you can go to extrapackofpeanuts.com. You can email me at Trav, at extrapackofpeanuts.com. And yeah, I just would tell everyone, like you just told me, don't be scared to do it. Don't be afraid of frequent flyer miles or cheap travel. It's not some pie in the sky idea. It's happening. I help, hundreds of people every day and thousands of people in the last year earn millions of frequent flyer miles, and they're going all over the place, and it really can be possible for anyone. So yeah, come check out the website. And if any of your readers or listeners, Jeff, ever ask you, you can send them my way. I'd be glad to help them out.
You bet. extrapackofpeanuts.com. It'll be linked up below. And go there, figure out how you can travel and live your lifestyle business wherever you want. This has inspired me to think about going some other places. And as I look out the window and see the snow start to fall,
yeah,
what more
it's
motivation
not snowing in Thailand. So.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Travis. I appreciate it. Have a great rest of the week and have fun in Spain next time you head there.
My pleasure, Jeff. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thanks, Travis. Bye.
Thanks for joining us on the How to Quit Working show. Tune in next time when we'll talk to another amazing person just like you who is now living the ultimate life of freedom and doing it on their terms. If you want to learn how to quit working and get these episodes delivered directly to you, visit howtoquitworkingshow.com.